Hello and welcome. My name is Bilal Akil and welcome to the show once again. I am in a park in London's Mayfair, and today I'll be kind of freestyling, drawing whatever comes to my mind, drawing inspiration from around. So there's no particular structure to this episode, and it's just you can have this on as background, or you can possibly just have a look and be curious as to what I'm doing, where I kind of get the opportunity both for myself and for yourselves just to draw and paint kind of freely. So I hope that you enjoy this episode. If there's anything that you'd like me to kind of cover or do, please do let me know. I have my kind of watercolors out and ready, and so what I'll be doing is just kind of getting stuff kind of like drawn and painted, just to kind of give you an idea as to what the scenery is like. We have this palm tree, and that's the kind of scenery that we have around us. So back again here. So I don't know if you could fully see my colors. So what I'll be doing is, I quite like this orange. I've been waiting all week just to use this particular orange, and we'll just continue on that. One thing I wanted to discuss, it's been an interesting week. This week we've had the death of Her Majesty the Queen, and there has also been a death in the family, and what comes to mind generally is the idea about death and what it means to many people, and many people have been touched by Her Majesty's death, and also we've been personally touched by the death in our own family. But it also makes me think, what about the deaths of those that are dying every day, but also in particular the ones that come to mind are the people that have been passed away in the recent Pakistani floods. And there's something I thought that I should do to take the initiative, and this particular episode I would like to kind of have some thoughts around that and what I could do to contribute. I will be sending funds to the flood victims, and many millions of people have lost their homes because of the floods and the monsoon rains. Not only is it a movement of people's livelihoods, but also a lot of people have lost loved ones, and as probably people can relate, perhaps losing perhaps a monarch, and their kind of personal feelings that they've had of the kind of suddenness of that. If one thinks how sudden it would be if you lost your loved ones or related family to a flood that also came quite suddenly. So it's something that I've been thinking about, and so to that end I would like to dedicate this particular work to flood victims. So it will be available for kind of auction or whatever bidding, and I'm open to any contributions, and there's a line of work that I'll be making throughout the episodes that I'll be putting up for any particular bidding, and the kind of highest reasonable amount that you want to donate for the particular work is most welcome, and that will be sent to Pakistan alongside with some other funds that I'm also contributing. So I hope you enjoy this particular episode and find it inspiring in some way or another. You can have me as kind of background noise as you want to, and so I'll just start to kind of continue as I normally do with these kind of episodes. I'm just kind of putting in some orange as I kind of freestyle wanted. I just want to get that kind of colour in, really. With that I just wanted to put in some blue. How's your week been this week? What have you been up to? Leave something in the comments below. What is your reaction to the deaths that have been happening, and how do you feel about it? What are your views about the monarchy? Do you feel offended about my views and how I'm expressing them? The way I see it is that it's a death of a human, and we should then therefore have the respect for that. So regardless of what I think your views may be of the monarchy, I still think that certain respect needs to be paid, and also equally similar respect to whoever has passed away around the world. And this kind of lovely kind of greeny, turquoisey green in. So I don't do this with a point of view to kind of reflect what's happening around me, but rather that it's just a kind of abstract feeling that I wanted to kind of get down at least. I also kind of felt like getting some purples in. It's quite like this colour, this kind of pastel purple. It's a pastel kind of oil pastel pencil. It's a pastel pencil. I just wanted to get that in. I wanted to get the pastels in because then I could do watercolour on top or underneath. Putting this on top of watercolour would be a bit more difficult because I kind of paint wet and wet. That kind of works for me. Just kind of, I don't know, just everything feels in a kind of very linear type of way, but I could also use this to kind of make some marks. Is what I feel like, really. I've intentionally kept the background noise there, so it's, if you think that you can fall asleep to this, that's great. Some people can't fall asleep immediately. Some people work in call centres that are quite difficult, and they want something to kind of ease their mind. And if you're in that situation, then I hope that this is perhaps of some assistance to you. I hope that it's kind of some form of meditation to those who may want it. But from my point of view, I just like to kind of you to be free, and if you're getting inspiration from this, then it's kind of a freedom to do whatever you want. And if you just want to do something abstract, then by all means you could have a look at what I'm doing and have your own marks. Perhaps you've had a stressful week and you want to kind of de-stress, then perhaps this might be of some inspiration. We're sat in Mayfair. The weather is quite nice. It has cooled down from before. And in coming here, it was quite busy. There's a lot of people that are paying their respects to Her Majesty the Queen. And there's lots of people laying flowers out there. I wanted to take the chance while I'm here to chill out and do some painting. And to just express some random thoughts of what I've been thinking this week. I have been thinking about this particular channel. You may have seen that I post mainly about kind of cars, and that's one of my interests. I am passionate about cars. I spent last weekend at Blenheim Palace and also Hampton Court seeing lots of fast cars, and that was quite nice. And then that made me think, what is it in particular that I like about fast cars? Because you see this and fast cars, it doesn't necessarily kind of always jive. I have my interests in nature, I have my interests in art and perhaps fine art, and then I have my interest in cars and engines, and particularly fast cars. And I was just thinking, like, what is it about cars that fascinates me? Is that there seems to be kind of an internal conflict. I can't easily accept that I kind of like cars. At least the audience seems to be very kind of has a different response. When I've posted a few kind of car pictures or videos on my main Instagram, it just didn't have the same kind of reception. So it makes me kind of think that the algorithm is designing us to like particular things. So if you like cars, you go to kind of car only kind of social media pages, and if you like art, you go to art only type pages. I think that we live in such a diverse world that it's good to kind of have, I think, a kind of diverse amount of interests. I think it's healthy to have one particular interest, and it's great that you can be quite specific, but I personally am a mishmash of different things, of different cultures, of different voices, of different regions around the world. And that, I guess, perhaps makes it particular to me. So coming back to cars, when I was posting, I thought, okay, well, I'm not getting the same kind of reception. Perhaps this kind of channel should be perhaps only dedicated to kind of art. But then I thought, well, what is art? And art is quite diverse, really. It's not, there's no clear definition. It's really, could be anything. But specifically when it comes to fine art and cars, I like the actual sculptural element of the car, the way it's designed. The people that design the cars are artists. The designer of Ferraris these days is Flavio Manzoli, who is an artist, and his lines are incredible. He is kind of more driven by more of a retro futuristic type of look these days, and you see that in the cars. But he's an artist. He's drawn some fantastic horses, portraits of Enzo Ferrari, the founder of Ferrari. And so that's an artistic element. Also, people that also collect cars, they collect them as kind of sculptural art pieces, and other people have them as investments. I personally am drawn to cars because of their aesthetic value. I originally wanted to be a car designer earlier on when I was young. That's all I wanted to be. Before that, I wanted to be a pilot. So that perhaps is a mixture of my kind of desire for speed and engines and aesthetics. You may have seen some of my earlier car videos, and what kind of draws me, I kind of talk quite passionately about cars, and particularly the design. And I've had kind of the fortune of driving a few nice cars, or at least some kind of cars, and I think the engine and the raw also kind of fascinates me, and that's the kind of boyhood charm. It gets the adrenaline kind of pumping, and then I just kind of think, okay, well, where do I want to take this channel, and do we have to have a specific kind of voice to kind of say where we have to go? I personally don't think so. On reflection, I think I reflected quite a bit on this, and my views might change over time, but I don't think you have to be so specific just because an algorithm requires you to do so, or because you'd like to have lots of followers. I mean, it's great if I have lots of followers, and but then it comes down to why you're doing this. Do you want that kind of attention? Do you want to be famous? Then this is not the way then, and that's not the kind of particular route. I think if other things come as a result, as a kind of a byproduct of things, then that's fine. One should pursue that. But I think if one desires to kind of pursue fame and fortune, then I think, quite frankly, there's other things that you can pursue each of those things in. But I never think it's particularly healthy to do that. I think if you do things for the wrong reason, it doesn't always kind of come kind of true, and then there's high expectations kind of come falling down, and then that kind of, it affects your self-esteem and your kind of motivation. So I think it's quite nice just to kind of be free, and to that end, this is what I've produced whilst I've been talking. But I quite like it. It's got its own feel to it. I don't know what, the blood red just kind of came in. I just felt like it. Doesn't look like the palm tree in front of me, but it does have an abstract kind of vibe to it. So mixture of kind of pastels, watercolor, and these kind of pencils. I like to kind of go in a little bit and just go over these kind of pastel pencils. Some engine noises as I speak. It sounds like a Lamborghini, or probably a V8 engine, because a V12 is much more louder. You hear these noises in the background. There you go. It's quite wet. Has its own particular charm. Anyway, this particular work will be available for kind of bidding, and if it's something you want to kind of contribute towards the FUDs and the housing and the charitable contribution to Pakistan, please do DM me. If you'd like to make a donation and acquire this work, then please do drop me a line or something in the comments, and hopefully you can acquire one of these works. Thank you very much for watching, Until then, goodbye.